GFX medium format cameras shook up the world of digital photography 5 years ago, basically dominating that market overnight. The OG GFX50S was quite modern and well-performing camera for a medium format, leaving behind guys like Hasselblad and Phase 1, which cost like a f***ing car and were the choice of only the few privileged and well-paid people. And they just kept going on and on. The latest offerings of GFX cameras cannot be beaten so far, and Fujifilm did a great job at improving everything at once: the size, the ergonomics, the sensor, the features, etc. So before the Fuji X Summit kicks in at the end of May, I want to talk about what next GFX camera should be like and why I see no reason for it not to happen, unlike some disbelievers think. Hello there, it's Aperture Value with another episode talking, or rather fantasizing, about the next GFX camera from Fuji. Now, a little disclaimer, this is my channel, my video and my opinion, so if you don't like what you're hearing, you're welcome to present your own point of view in the comments down below. But stay polite and don't shit on people for no reason. Don't make me get into Camille Vasquez mode.
Objection, Your Honor, lack of foundation.
Relating to your nose.
Objection, leading.
Sustain.
Foundation, hearsay. Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. Objection, Your Honor, lack of foundation. Objection, Your Honor, lack of foundation calls for speculation.
Do you recall?
I'm sure there's lots of confrontation on the medium format topic since it's getting more and more attention recently. Personally, I've shot medium format film camera before. I got a Mamiya RV67 while visiting Japan a while ago. As for digital, I had a heavy Sony kit at the time. It was the moment when I started to realize that big and heavy gear isn't for me, and long story short, I got into Fuji X system. As a result of trying different cameras, I ended up getting a Fuji X-Pro3, which I still own and love. And I'm perfectly fine with my kit, but just like other photographers, GFX keeps bugging my mind. So why is that so? Well, talking about myself, there are a few reasons. Some of them I've already covered partially in other episodes. For instance, I talked before about the prospects of high megapixel cameras. I don't need 50 or 100 megapixels of resolution, but that crop and flexibility enables you to use less lenses, which is another way to make your kit lighter. So in these terms, while having 3 or 4 primes with X-Pro3, I could easily just use one lens on a medium format. You got my idea, right? I've also made recently a video about the history behind 3:2 aspect ratio of digital sensors, and besides talking history, I also point out that I could benefit a lot from a 4:3 aspect ratio. This is also a huge benefit of GFX over a 3:2 X-mount system, at least to me. And of course, like many others, I'm also intrigued by the medium format look, especially considering my style of photography. Talking about it, many of you on YouTube and Instagram also recommended me to try medium format for the type of work I do. But this is just my stand on medium format. It might be the same for others, but I'm pretty sure that for now the majority of people targeted by Fuji with GFX are the full-frame shooters from other systems. The cameras so far are designed in a more conventional way, unlike more retro-styled APS-C line. Specs and video features are the priorities, as well as the size and price, which are comparable to some top full-frame offerings. Not to mention all the ad campaigns featuring the benefits of GFX over full-frame. While the initial GFX50S and 50R were a good first step, these cameras weren't that convincing. On the other hand, the GFX100 and 100S seem to grab the attention of many, impressing with the IBIS, resolution, video capabilities, size and weight, and what's more important, price. Full-frame tries to keep up by topping the resolution up to 50 and 60 megapixels. Many even argue that there is not that much difference between a high-res full-frame and the GFX. Yeah, right, that's not what you were saying about full-frame and APS-C all these years. But anyway, despite that, more and more people get into GFX system, especially when 50S and 50R on used market are a steal. And Fuji's medium format lenses now cover most focal lengths at the price of full frame, and that is big because unlike Fuji's offerings, Hasselblad lenses, for instance, are expensive as f***. That's partly my reasoning for not going for their X1D or 907X cameras. But even Fuji has a problem with lenses, and that, unfortunately, cannot be simply solved over time, because you can't just overcome physics. After all, it's not another Fast and Furious movie. The problem I'm referring to is the size of the lens. Although Fuji successfully shrank the size of the camera, lenses are different. and there's not much use of a small camera if the lenses are twice bigger and heavier than the body itself. There are exceptions for GFX though. The 50mm prime and 35-70 zoom are quite portable, but in medium format terms. They aren't exactly small. Smaller than GF lenses, but still big. On the bright side, I think it can be dealt with, and this is where Fuji can shine, and I'll tell you why. You see, back in film days, Fuji made it all, and although they made 35mm cameras, their medium format was the one that made the name. They even had the super niche 6x8 Studio Monster and the 6x17 Panoramic Beast. That devotion to niche is carried out by Fuji until these days. They are the ones who helped Hasselblad to create and produce X-mount cameras, but that's a different story. Today we'll need to focus on their 645 cameras. Fuji was the daddy of rangefinder style medium format cameras. They made 645s, 67s, 68s, 69s with both fixed and interchangeable lenses, zooms and primes, and these cameras were great. In fact, film shooters still love all these rangefinder medium format film cameras, not only Fuji's but also Mamiyas, Bronicas, Machinas. One of the later ones made by Fuji was a GA645ZI, introduced in '98. This was the one behind the inspiration for the thumbnail of the video. It has a fixed zoom lens and a vertical frame. Keep this design in mind and let's move on. There is an article on Fuji Love magazine website that discusses whether it is time for X shooters to move to GFX. Unlike full-frame shooters, our story is different. After trying out different GFX cameras and praising the evolution of medium format by Fuji, author compares them to the old Fujifilm rangefinders and his APS-C cameras. He concludes that GFX is not there yet to switch from APS-C. But that article happened 2 years ago and many things changed. While GFX100 and 100S are already doing a great job at fulfilling initial task of winning over full-frame shooters, it's time I think to use that tag to make a GFX to win over Fujifilm X photographers. Photographers for which X100 and X-Pro cameras are made for, the niche that got so many in love with Fuji. And that medium format rangefinder heritage can help make such a GFX camera that, in my opinion, should come next. I mean, a GFX version of the GA645 is the thing to go for. By making a fixed lens GFX, we would automatically solve the big ass lens problem. That's the benefit I've talked about before. Fixed lens can be made much smaller and optically superior. Just look at what Fuji has done with a fixed X100V lens. It's so much smaller and better than a corresponding prime lens. And looking at all that 645 film cameras, making the same charm work on GFX will be no problem for Fuji. In addition, there are already mentioned before compact 50 and 35-70, so they can be re-engineered to be fixed. I even have a slight hope that they released a 35-70 just so it can earn a good reputation before making it fixed in a new GFX body, but who knows. Retro styling is definitely something to consider. Now, I don't know whether it will have a hybrid viewfinder or a vertical sensor positioning, but that would be dope, right? What I'm sure of is that the smaller battery and 100 megapixel sensor with IBIS from 100S absolutely have to make their way into this new camera. With 100 megapixels on board, I would easily go with fixed prime, even though I would prefer that 24-50 equivalent zoom. And if it has to be a bit slower, it's fine, since the IBIS can compensate for that. According to reviews with 100S, you can go as slow as 1/6 of a second with a medium format. Damn. And all of it wouldn't be too heavy thanks to that fixed lens. We would have a rather small package. I can imagine it being about the size of my Fuji Instax wide, which is okay with me. Looking at the old 50R, it was like 700 grams, and now the top tier 100S is 900 grams, so under a kilo won't be a problem. Maybe even lighter than that. All of it incorporated in one GFX body. That's what should come next from Fuji. PSIM dials, top LCDs and flip screens are nothing but drifting away from what company philosophy presented all those years. People have been waiting for the 50R successor forever now. So why not treat us, original Fuji lovers, with a real Fuji-spirited GFX? My understanding is that medium format market is secured now by previous models, and seems like Fuji got a good profit out of them, so why not Fuji? Why not? Some may say that such a camera just won't happen, there's no market for it, it's too niche to make a fixed lens medium format, but hey, That was the story of many other Fuji cameras in film and digital. And for a second, let's not forget the early mock-ups of first GFX cameras. Remember those? There was a rather curious one with a very controversial screen. You find that familiar? Like I said, they probably decided to go with a more conventional design first, but if they went as far as mock-up, the intentions for the design were serious. Who knows, maybe they kept the best one for later. This is Fujifilm at its core. Offers something truly interesting, unique and different. And I really hope for that. Now I know there are tons of different ideas about GFX and specifically next 50R2 or 100R, whatever they would call it, so share your thoughts and ideas in the comments down below, but remember, yeah, politely and without name calling, anyway I know you haters. Hit the like and subscribe if you like this episode, or even get me a coffee in the link down below or in the end of this clip. Until next time, sit tight and wait for the X Summit and gas relapse.